Hi guys, I'd like to speak to you today about emotional balance and detachment. After speaking with someone the other day about being an empath and their trials and tribulations, about being able to feel people's emotions so intensely that they were experiencing them as if they were their own, and connecting with all the sadness, the anger and angst of the world, I really did feel that this is an important topic to cover. Having been through this journey myself and come through the other side, I think I can speak quite authoritatively about this. Although the thing that really stabilised me was a full release of the Kundalini. And of course that's the thing that will really stabilise you guys, is when you have released all the Kundalini energy from your Kundalini reservoir, and when you're absolutely fully birthed onto the spiritual plane. But you see, most of us aren't. Some of us are only partially birthed onto the spiritual plane. But then that's our soul's decision. Our souls don't always choose to release the energy in one fell swoop, as mine did. Sometimes we choose to release this gradually, which really is more comfortable than to have a massive quantum leap that I experienced. But I can say that once you've released that energy, we're put into an amazing space where we actually feel that our hearts are actually held by invisible hands, and we feel the peace that passeth understanding, which is an amazing experience where we can actually feel the vibration of peace everywhere, throughout all dimensions, throughout all the cells of our body. It's as if we're completely drenched in it. But from the emotional attachment aspect, there no longer is any attachment to anything or anyone. All the karmic chains are broken. The karmic issues we've set up previously, they've all been dissolved. And it's so liberating. In fact, I was looking at a video recently by some of the masters like Eckhart Tolle, describing their experiences of the Kundalini. Though I found it a bit strange that not one of them seemed to mention the peace that passeth understanding. But I suppose we all experience things differently. Instead of the ups and the downs, or the cyclothymic rhythms as psychologists call them, where we're in the depths of despair one minute and in the heights of ecstasy the next, we find that we are evenly balanced and nothing stirs us at the emotional level. In fact, the emotional body has been, I suppose, mastered, fully mastered by the spiritual one. So it really is important to let go of everything and everyone. Everything in our life that stimulates emotion should be released regularly. That way we're releasing to source. The human self isn't capable of achieving that balance, only the divine self. So it's only when we're birthed into our divine selves that we can acquire that balance and that total detachment. So you might be saying, well, I'm not there yet, so what do I do? which is really the reason I'm making this. There are things that can be done. First of all, from an emotional point of view, our emotions could be karmic. We can deal with this, and in one particular way that I found was particularly good. I think it was from a book called Bioetheric Healing by Trudy Lannis. I actually had an experience of this myself, even after the Kundalini experience. It's that one particular day I'd been going to see Ruth, a friend of mine who's a gateway activator, and I suddenly felt this intense stress and tension in my heart centre. I didn't know where it was coming from, or what the reason for it was. So when I got to her place, she was reading this book, because she's very eclectic with books and crystals, and I had a look at it, opened it randomly, and she was talking about how to establish a relationship with the etheric body and to ask the etheric body to heal us. And she was saying that if you have an issue, then ask your etheric body, is it karmic? If the answer comes back yes, then ask for the karma, this negative tension or stress that's related to the karma, to be broken up and dissolved and removed from the two outer layers of our auras. So I thought, well, that sounds good. So since I was experiencing this stress, I asked for that to happen, and instantly the tension dissolved. It was quite a dramatic experience. So that's one way to approach this, obviously to get rid of the karmic aspects of the emotions. There is also another technique which I was given by my higher self. As I've said previously, I don't generally do attachments these days, not for 35 years, and so I've had quite an even, balanced life, emotional life, since that time. But a few years ago, I was suddenly finding that I had some attachment with someone that was sort of creeping in, and I didn't like it because it made me feel uncomfortable. After all, when we are attached by cords, these cords pull us this way and that way, and they make our lives miserable. This is not what being a master is. So I asked my higher self, what can I do about this? And I was given something to say. I was told to ask for my emotional body to be fully anchored into my higher self monad. The words I was given was, let my emotional body be fully anchored into my higher self monad. I repeated this 3 times, and the attachment dissolved. It was brilliant. So I thought I'd share this with you. Obviously the emotional issues are very much to the surface, especially at the moment with all the releasing that's happening on the earth and the cleansing of the etheric. And anyone who is really empathic will be experiencing those emotions as if they're their own when they're not. I mean, that's why they call it emotional baggage, because baggage is something we pick up along the way. It doesn't really belong to us. So it is about letting go of everything until we can reach that stage where we're completely fully birthed onto the spiritual plane. And at that stage we then become the observer instead of the observed. We become objective instead of subjective. Now, some of you might think this sounds very uncaring, but it isn't. I can assure you it isn't. I can honestly say I do not do emotions. The emotional body should not be stimulated in any way whatsoever. As for love, love is not the same thing. Love is not an emotion. It's completely different. That comes from the heart portal, from the spiritual heart, not from the emotional body. But then this is what we learn. This is what we experience on the human journey, on the way to empowerment. We need to stop worrying, stop fixating, and get off the emotional roundabout and emotional roller coaster. The only responsibility we have is for ourselves, not for others. For ourselves and our spiritual growth. These are just birth pains after all. As we're birthed into the higher frequencies, as we're moving into ascension. So I hope these 2 techniques help, guys, and I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.